Alright, so this is Alan Wake 2, Part 9, Finale Part 1. And hopefully my internet stays up for at least an hour so I could finish Alan Wake's part. And if it does stay up past that for about a good 2 hours, I'll finish Saga part before I head out and do what I gotta do. So, hopefully I can finish it today so that there's no part 2. And I just retype this and re-edit it as finale. But if it's longer than I thought, then this is a part 1. I'm glad I subtracted the game down to a 7.6 from a 7.7 because now when you go back to try to obtain more words of power, you can't do that once you unlock Parliament Tower. Now, Parliament Tower is not endgame. Parliament Tower is like past the 75% marker of the game, so it's not the end of the game. When you first unlock Parliament Tower to access your hotel, where you and your woman used to stay, it changes the scene of the entire map outside. So what was previously there, basically past the halfway point in Alan Wake's story. So past the halfway point or 65% marker or 75% marker, not the end of the game, you can no longer go back to previous Caldera Street because Parliament Street was once called Caldera Street. And Parliament Subway Station is not the same as Caldera Subway Station. They look the same, but they're not the same. How I know this is because even though you can access this, the same location here, where it says Caldera Street Station, and you figure it's Caldera Street Station, so you're going here, and it says so on the map Caldera Street. When you get into the subway station, it doesn't say Caldera Street inside of the subway station. It says Parliament Street Station. And to prove this even more, I'm going to go into Caldera Street Station from Parliament Tower Plaza. I'm going to walk into here, and here's entrance to Riding Boulevard and Wake Street. And when you walk into the subway station, it says Parliament Tower Plaza. So it no longer says Caldera Street. So you go back to into your world, into your mind. You access your initial board, your first draft, by switching the boards, and this will bring you back to Caldera Street Station, which is here, because I'm literally in Caldera Street, the Caldera Street Station. See, it says you're inside of the Caldera Street Station, but it says Parliament Tower Plaza. So when you're going towards your board and you access initial draft 1 and you tap on Caldera Street Station.
I couldn't add a new element from here. I'd have to go to the scene.
So that's what he says. You have to go to the scene. I'm at the scene, but from the point of view of the story, even though the location is the same, the story is now different because the subway station is no longer Caldera Street subway station, is Parliament Tower Plaza. So I cannot change it from the first draft. And if I go back to the initial second draft, there is no subway station in the initial draft. There's the entrance hall to Parliament Tower Plaza. There's a ballroom in the plaza. There's the final scene in the plaza. And then there's a rehearsal room in the plaza, I believe. Or these are Ocean View Motel. So these are all initial drafts that are part of the Ocean View Motel. And I would have to be within the Ocean View Motel in order to change the draft. Or it's not, was it the Ocean View Motel? It's not Doris Place. Yeah, Ocean View Motel, because there's the ballroom. So yeah, Even though everything on the map looks the same, Doris Place looks the same, all locations look the same. The streets, however, are now changed. It's now Wheeler Street and Giraffe Street and Parliament, because Parliament Tower pops up. The street for Caldera Street has now been changed to Parliament Street, so you can no longer go back. So if you're missing words of power within the Caldera Street, and I'm missing a few, a couple actually, I'm missing these, and I'm missing these, and some of these, and of course some of these. I can no longer go back to get those, and that to me is incredibly bad, extremely bad. So I dropped the game down to 7.6 from something else. So now I'm going to drop the game 2 points back down for that, because if I have to New Game Plus to get the remaining things of power, words of power, then that's bad. You should be able to get everything if you're searching on your own the first playthrough. There shouldn't be nothing that locks you off. The only time you should be locked off from doing what you have to do is when the game literally tells you after this point you can no longer go back to beginning of the game, because you're nearing the end of the game. Like towards the end of the game, it tells you go back and farm everything you need to farm, because once you pass this point you cannot go back and farm. But the game doesn't tell you that. It only tells you that once you complete Saga's part, and once you get towards the end in Alan Wake's part. Now I haven't got to end with regards to Alan Wake's part, but I have got to the end in Saga's part, but I haven't gone past that initial point which the game tells you. So I'm happy the game did tell me this, so I gave it back its 7.6 to 7.7. But now I went back into it today and I realized there's a huge mistake that they've made. They haven't patched this up. Still, you can no longer go back and farm other things when certain locations have changed. Now, when Parliament Plaza, or should I say Caldera Street Plaza, turns to Parliament Tower Plaza, there was no, if you if you go past this location, other previous areas that you need to pick up resources and stuff, you won't be able to do so. Now, if there was, I completely missed that, but I'm pretty sure it would be something that's definitive that would tell me resources and stuff would not be able to pick up once you go past the halfway point, once Caldera Street is turned to Parliament Plaza. So I didn't see that at all, which means because I didn't see that at all, or it wasn't hinted to me at all, it wasn't in the game, I would remember something like that. I would remember something, or if I pressed the button and I skipped over it, even if I decide to skip a scene and it was there, the game should tell me, even though you're skipping a scene, here's what's going to happen. But nothing happened. So that's extremely bad. So that 7.7 that took it back up to, I'm now back down to 7.5. So I docked 2 more points. So it's very hard for me to like this game, because as good as it is and fun as it is, it has lots of problems mechanically and decision making from people who sat in the meeting room, and they came up with what this should be, what this should be. If you turn on the light and the shadows around and you're listening to an echo, the shadow won't interrupt the echo. I've also considered that as well, so I gave it back. It's 1 point for that, because I've noticed that happen as well. Shadows don't attack you when you're listening to an echo. So I give it back a point for that. So I brought the game back up to 7.6, but that's about it. So that's why I'm still at a 7.6. Everything from yesterday dropped down to 7.6. Then I gave it back points for everything that it did right. And then I realized I can't go back, so I drop it back down to 7.5. But then I realized echo, you can't be interrupted by ghost or darkness, people infect taken, when you're watching echoes. And I gave a point for that, because that was a decision that was made to not be interrupted while you're watching those things, which is very important. But for everything this game gets right, it seems to get equally amount of things wrong. About the only thing that's 100% correct in this game is the design of the world, the acting, and the story. And of course, the color lighting and the shadows with regards to color and lighting. So maybe like 4 or 5 things: the color of the game, the lighting in the game, the story of the game, the acting in the game, and the concept with regards to the game. Not just the story, but how they executed the concept based on a looping world or mirror world. So 5 things. But beyond those 5 things, they really are poor at many decision makings with regards to execution on how you could go back and do resource farming, and how you could fight and combat, and how you could stash things away, and how you could turn, and many other minor problems. So this is the finale. I'm not going to get any more words of power because I can't get those words of power. Not that I want to. The game in Alan Wake's section doesn't allow me to. Either because I pass a certain period in Saga's story, which really shouldn't interrupt anything in Alan Wake's story, or I pass a certain point in Alan Wake's story and the game did not tell me I could go back to farm other resources. It's very poor. So I'm going to go towards a finale in the game and try to complete it. It's sad, really. This is such an awesome game. So it's sad that the team that did the story and the artwork and the design of the game and the color grading of the game, the design of outfits in the game, and the concept with regards to everything in the game itself, and even some crafting of weaponry, vegetation, use of lighting, and camera work movement.
Go to hell!
Whoever was the team with regards to secondary or tertiary team, with regards to the technical aspect of the game, or the original programs for everything that works mechanically in the game, might have been split into 2 sections. Those who were...
Alice had turned the bathroom into a dark room.
Those who thought it would have been a good idea, and those who had no idea what they were doing, and maybe those who knew absolutely what they were doing. So maybe there were 3 teams in regards to a program department, and Sam Lake's team probably were the ones that made the general decision for the story itself, and the secondary teams were the one that fucked it up with regards to the mundane stuff. But the mundane stuff is the stuff that's the game aspect of the game, not the story, not the characters. The mechanics of the game is the game aspect of the game. So the secondary team who designed the regular program made sure certain interactive buttons work. They were the most important players because everything had to work. There couldn't be any bugs and glitches. And the other team who would come in second would be the team that's crafting the story with regards to, can you go back here? Can you access certain points? Can you return to certain areas? And then there's Sam Lake's team, or Sam Lake's section of group of people who were primarily focused on the story itself and the acting itself. So maybe there weren't 3 teams, there were only 2 teams, but I think the second team really shit the bed. So it's not good. There's no fast travel. There's a whole lot of stuff that's wrong. You have to run every goddamn place, So many problems with this game. I don't think I'm going to buy this game. Like fully up buy it, and if they do make a Alan Wake 3, I don't think I'm gonna buy that either. Like, awards be damn. Like, if Control turns out, the second Control game turns out to be like this, I'm probably going to return Control 2 back to the store. But hopefully it's the original programmers for Control, not the programmers who are part of Alan Wake. I know some of the people from Control were programmers for Alan Wake, but they're not the same. So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to buy Alan Wake 3 when that comes out, simply because if they don't fix the problems that people say in this game in the next one, and I'm going to make sure I go online to find out what those are, specifically what those are, before I even purchase or think of purchasing Alan Wake 3. I'm going to make sure that all the issues I complain about in this game have been addressed, every one of them. Because if I go online and when someone plays Alan Wake 3 and no one highlights all the details that I found in this game that were problems, or highlights half of the details I pointed out that were problems in this game, but only half is not good for me. All those issues that I talked about, the quick turn, the slow getting up on ledges and stuff, the fact that you can't go back to original areas, the fact that there's no fast traveling, the fact that when you're running at the same pace when something's chasing you, to the same pace that when you're running down a corridor. Um, Many other things as well. Um, uh, Interactive speed, but taking things out of chess when you're in a boss fight. No sense of urgency in that. There's tons of things. So I could go on and on all day about things said, and having chests or lockers that have empty and nothing in there, but you could open them. So what's the point of that? It's not the end of the world. We're not in the zombie apocalypse. There's no reason to go into something just to find an empty door and an empty chest. At least fill up that empty door and that empty chest with clothes or with items that you can't interact with. Just to say that there's something in there. To leave them completely empty is kind of dumb. No one has a drawer or a locker or a chest in their room or in their house that doesn't have at least one item in there, whether you can interact with it or not. Nothing is ever empty when someone has a box or a wall locker or a closet. So it doesn't make sense to have it in this game. There's so many things that are very stupid. So I had to reload this area, and the only way I found out is that I reloaded this area. So I read this before, so I have to read it again. And this is about Wheeler, the agent of Alan Wake from the first game. Apparently he joined some wellness center so he could lose a lot of weight, and he'd been trying to get in contact with Alan's wife, but she's been so self-absorbed within her work in her house due to Scratch that she hasn't communicated with people for months, or for more than a year actually.
For months after Ellen died.
And yes,
The apartment.
this is also an issue as well. When you see something and you interact with it, whether it's a film in front of you or an echo, once you initiate it, it's supposed to go directly into your
shock,
radio or into your mind plate there.
the guilt.
And it's over the radio. And this is your board. And this is the television, basically where she is. So it doesn't pop up onto the television until she's finished talking. So if you leave it, you have to wait for it to pop up there, like this, and then it's in your mind place, and then it shows it here. But if you walk over,
Alice's work had consumed the apartment. Her whole life.
but if you walk over and she talks, and then you walk away. It's on. I'm gonna stay over here and I'm gonna wait till it finishes. Now this is the first time me testing this one. Let's see, once she finished talking, is it going to go straight to record into my archive? Because I was literally there and the television turned on. So I'm going to see if it's going to archive with me not presently there, or do I have to do it again? Because if you're farming and you're trying to speed and do, like, say, a speed run, or just find things around the house, you have already initiated said video. See there? So that's good. So that's not bad. That's good. But you would have to wait for it. It doesn't automatically go there. You have to wait for her to finish talking. Now, all they had to do was just let the video keep playing, automatically make the log of the video goes into your mind the moment you turn it on. And it's up to the player not to stay there and, you know, watch the video. But they shouldn't have to, you know, like, wait for it to go in. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter, because, yeah, I wasn't waiting for it to go in. So, no, let me take that back. That's wrong. So, yeah, in that sense, it's good. But it doesn't change anything. I'm still at 7.6. Otherwise, if this didn't work either, I would lower it to 7.5.
The more shadows I photographed and filmed, the more I felt like I was on the verge of a breakthrough.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. I can't
myself in it
ignore
until I
this.
only went out at night.
Actually, I think I can. Yeah. So that's good. That's good. That's good. So now I'm at a 7.7, because that's good. I could skip it, and I could go to the next one if I don't want to hear the whole thing. That's good. That's very good.
Fear of the dark is
So there are lots of things in the game that's very good. That's very good. A lot of mechanical decisions, UI decisions, that are very good. And there's some that are actually terrible. Like no fast travel, or climbing on ledges. It takes a long time in a combat situation.
The full manuscript of a novel. Return. A horror story about the dark presence escaping from the dark place, taking over Bright Falls. I couldn't remember writing it. I had not written it. I would never write this. I knew who had. Scratch. A monster with my face. If this story came true, Scratch would get out, people would die. Destroying the manuscript, it wouldn't stop it from happening. I would have to fix it, edit it. I could not change the genre of the story. I'd have to work within the constraints set by Scratch. I needed someone in the story to fight the darkness. Saga Anderson. I kept seeing her in my visions. She was already in Bright Falls, already involved, but she was not in Return. Not yet. I'd write her in, try to stop Scratch within the limits of the horror story. It was almost impossible. It was taking too long. I had not reached the end. Before I could finish my edits to the manuscript. The memory of my edits was already fading. terrible things would happen if the manuscript came true. Scratch was there, at Parliament Tower, undoing my work. He could use the story to escape. He could go after Alice.
There's also the factor of when he had that little moment of Scratch, like shooting him and stuff. I'm not sure if anyone realized this, but it's I'm not saying it's an annoying thing or it's a good or bad thing, but like why not just highlight out the word using, you know, white paste out his name instead of scratch it out, you know? Because if you circle his name, he could still see the word scratch. And if you try to convert it, as long as you see the word scratch, it's still scratch. But if you scratch it out, you've given power to the name Scratch. Because it's a scratch, it's been scratched out. So not only is the name there, you've now reinforced it. So why not just white it out? Or if the story is trying to be clever, which it is, the most obvious thing is the name is scratched out because the name there isn't Scratch. The name he put there is Alan Wake, and he didn't like the fact that he has his name. Scratch, the Dark Presence, is pretending to be him, so he scratched out his name. He probably say to himself, why the hell did I put my name there? And then he scratched it out. So, you know. But if that's the case, and he remember early in the game that manuscripts were scratched out, and he knows that manuscripts were scratched out to not show his name, and this isn't the first time that we're seeing this, then he's aware that all he has to do is, you know, basically highlight it out or blot it out with some white paste or black it out with black marker without scratching it out. Would it change the name that's Alan Wake under there? No. But would it be scratched out? No. So this is just the people who made the game trying to be clever. They needed a name for his enemy, and that's their clever way of coming up with the name for the bad guy in the game by scratching out Alan's name. That's all. That's all that is. So that's both a good thing and a bad thing in my mind. Like, it's kind of an obvious thing, but maybe it's not as obvious, so it's no big deal.
Zane had said we worked on Return together. That was a lie. Scratch wrote Return. I would pay Zane another visit. He had guided me to 2 murder sites. I needed a new one to get back to Parliament Tower. A new draft of initiation. It was locked from the other side.
So if you play this game, be aware. If you're in Caldera Lake Station in that subway, don't press forward in the story. Search for all words of power when you're in Caldera Lake. Period. Because the moment you press forward, you will not be able to enter Caldera Lake subway station again. Once you unlock Parliament Tower.
I don't have time for this, so let's get over with. Tell me, was this all fake? A show?
No one said otherwise, Mr. Wake. It was to indulge you, but we can stop pretending now.
Masks come off.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I don't even think you know who's under your mask, but you know how to make things difficult for yourself. All these rules, endless, convoluted loops you insist on going through. You are so lucky, you know. There are so many people helping you. Armies of people. Myself. Your wife.
Alice. I need to get to her. She's in danger.
She is. Because of you. And so is someone important to me, someone you pulled into this. You keep opening doors. Peeking in. Reaching through to get what you want, and that puts you in my path.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have to go now.
Maybe you will make it through this time. This has gone on long enough. This and our Night Springs. It was a nice distraction.
It's time someone gave me a straight answer here.
The next time we meet, the circumstances will be very different. And you would do well to return the favor by playing your part. Or stay out of my way, Mr. Wake.
Whatever you say. Door, Zane, the masks were finally coming off. Was it a sign I was closer to escaping? I had no time to waste.
So that's weird. So that's weird. I was thinking Door was Scratch the whole time, playing Alan for a fool or something. But he says, you people, you keep opening doors, pulling people in. Alan's just one person. So does that mean Alice is also opening doors? But she's in danger, so he's not talking about her. The only people I could know of to be opening doors as well is 1, Ahti, which means Door has a problem with Ahti. 2, Alan Wake, which means Door also has a problem with Alan Wake. 3, Scratch, which means Door also has a problem with Scratch. 4, Zane, which means Door also has a problem with Zane, because they know how to traverse through certain doors in the dark place. And now Saga. But Saga's not in the dark place. So you have to cut her out of it. But she knows how to use the clicker to get access to certain places. So Saga must be included in this factor as well. Because maybe certain doors open up because of Saga using said clicker. And last but certainly not least, the people from Control, Jesse and Casper Darling. We've seen them on the Monitor trying to access this world, opening doors to gain access to this world. And of course the FBC being here. So the FBC has been testing and gaining access to this world as well, opening doors. So I think he's mainly talking about people who are trying to access the dark place, to move through the dark place to other places. The FBC is definitely one of them, trying to make sure the Hiss don't get out and trying to contain the darkness. So he's talking about them. So Door definitely has a beef with them. And he seems to be not Scratch. So he seems to be, if I'm guessing, he's a secondary antagonist in this game. Someone that's not Scratch. Either Door is 100% Scratch, or Door is 100% the darkness itself, the thing that created the darkness, or the darkness itself. Scratch is an entity that's in the darkness, where Door is said person that made the darkness. But that doesn't make sense, because as we've learned, Warlin Door was a person that got sucked into the dark place, so he didn't make the dark place either. But he has access to it like Thomas Zane. So he's a person like Thomas Zane, a person who's learned to swim through this world. And by doing so, he knows how to manipulate this world to do things his way. So he's yet another person like Tom, who got sucked into this world and now is using said darkness for his advantage, just like Tom, just like the darkness. Hell, maybe even just like the FBC. So Door is not Scratch. He's someone like Tom, who got pulled into this world. But he says you pulled someone very dear to him into all this mess. So the only people I could think that's dear to him, that was pulled into all this mess, is either one or two people, Saga or Zane. But he says you people, which means he's also talking about Zane being one of the people opening doors. So Zane is someone that came in here like him. And the only people to pull someone dear to him into this world is the same as what Saga was saying to Alan. You pulled my daughter into this. So there's someone just like what's going on with Saga, equally important to Door, that got pulled into this. So that person is either Saga or Saga's daughter, or is someone that's present here. Oh yes, the sheriff. The sheriff has a beef with Door. So that's there are only two people that he might be considering that are important to him, very important to him. The sheriff or Saga. Now, the sheriff basically says Door is responsible for everything going wrong in his life. That he's evil or something, or that he's the mastermind of all this. But we know that's not the truth. He's like a Tom Zane type. So it's possibly that it's Saga he's talking about, which will make sense. He is African American, and when he went on this little vacation with his family, his wife, Saga was probably a kid then, and Saga never talks about her father. Stated that she never knew her father, and the guys, Odin and Thor said, especially Thor said, Saga's father, Saga's mother, Freya, that left them with some dude that Thor calls a bastard. I always thought one step or two steps ahead. So that makes sense that Dora is smarter than Thor, obviously. So Dora could have been Saga's father. That's one. But my gamble is that it's the sheriff, because Dora was actually in Quantum Break, the game with Shawn Ashmore, and Shawn Ashmore, this world version of Shawn Ashmore is a sheriff, and this world version of the antagonist in that game, or whoever he was in that game, is also in here. So he could be talking about the sheriff more than about Saga. So that's the person that could be dear to him. Either way, it would appear that Dora is also a secondary antagonist other than Scratch. But I don't believe it's for this game. Scratch is the antagonist in this game. I believe Dora is someone we'll meet again in either Control 2 or in Alan Wake 3. Yeah, so he gave Alan this big threat, saying that you mess with me again, something's bad is going to happen to you. But I believe he doesn't know Alan at all. He doesn't know how powerful Alan is. He's assuming that Alan's less powerful than him, which means Dora has been in here longer than Alan has. But he's assuming he's less powerful than Alan, or more powerful than Alan, and he well could be. But the thing about Alan Wake's story is that it's Alan Wake's story. The name of the game is called Alan Wake. So Dora cannot be stronger than the person title of the game, because if he is, then Alan can rewrite that and always come back. And no matter how hard Dora tries, he will always lose, because in the title of the story is all about him, whether he dies or not. And the only one can permanently kill Alan will have to be Alan himself. So Dora is kind of an idiot that doesn't understand how stories work. And if the people who made this game have any brains in that cabeza of theirs, they would do the same thing too. Only kill Alan when Alan wants to die. As long as his name is in the title of the game, the only person that could kill Alan is Alan himself. So let's proceed forward with the story. I wouldn't be surprised if Dora is Saga's father, though. I wouldn't be surprised at all. He's another character added to this game. And he did fall into this world. Now the game says to escape the talk show studio, which means, am I gonna get into a fight just to leave here? Or is it just a wordplay? Escape.
Hurry, Tom. Here is the light at the end of the tunnel.
Jumalauta, that held you close, Tom. Mutta go onward, set the granny in the snow. When the panic is biggest, the help is also near.
Dora didn't seem happy to see me this time.
Fearing the master is the root of wisdom. But don't let the game get you down. He's playing his role. Maybe put him in your films, Tom. Like you have put me. Herkele, sehän olisikin.
What films?
I'm a fan of your masterworks. There is Tom the Poet, my favorite, and Yötön Yö is the most famous one, of course. And is it true what I hear, that it's coming back to cinemas soon? Is there a bottom to this rumor?
Fearing the master and making him come into your film might appease him. So, Ahti considers Door to be a master of this place, in this section of the Dark Place. But he's not the master of Alan Wake. He's just the master of this part of this world. Does he actually mean that Door has mastered traversal in this place and made himself like a king within the dark world? That would make someone fearful, because if he can make himself a king, he knows how to use dark forces in order to bend them to his will. Maybe he could actually control the Taken as well, just like Scratch. If that's the case, then he's definitely a bad guy. 100% a bad guy if he could control Taken. Because the only way to control Taken is that you have to be able to access the darkness and know how to manipulate darkness. So he's definitely a Emperor Palpatine type, if you know how to master darkness. Where Alan just knows how to change things in the story for his benefit, but he cannot control the darkness. I'm just speculating, I'm spitballing, but if he's the master of this place, he might know how to either block his path using the world or use Taken. If he doesn't know how to use Taken, he's not the master of jack shit. Scratch is, because Scratch is a dark presence, a master of this world. But if he truly is a master of this world, then that means he knows how to use, if not the Taken, how to use certain circumstance that would lead Taken, not controlling them. Maybe he cannot control the wild dogs, but he could turn certain doors and move certain buildings around that force the water in the pipes to go down a certain pathway. I think that's it. That's the answer. I don't think he knows how to control the Taken. I believe the darkness is a force of nature that no one can control.
I need to get back to my apartment. Can you help me?
Well, plan is half done. You asked me to make sure you won't forget mikä se valokuva oli? The light pictures. The photos you artist wife took. They are waiting in the shoebox in the basement. What you leave behind, you find in front of you.
Okay. Thanks, Adi.
Yeah, now that I think about it, freaking Door. Door is the only master of how to manipulate things. Like Magneto, he knows how to manipulate things in this world. But I believe the Taken is out of his hands. I believe that they're more ancient than he is. Like, he doesn't have power over them. He just knows how to redirect them. Which means all Alan needs to do is to write a story where certain doors lead towards Door, Mr. Door, and the Taken would take care of Door. They would come after Door, including Scratch. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Door has no idea how to actually control the Taken. And if you put him in a confined room or in a pathway leading to him, he would run for it just like Zane does, and Alan does, when Taken are around, or the Dark Presence itself. Because the Dark Presence isn't the darkness itself. I believe the Dark Presence Scratch was created or developed out of said darkness. It became an entity that lives in it, like a shark that swims in water. But Door cannot control a shark. You can only redirect it. If there's nothing to redirect, you could lead the shark straight to the Door. And then Door will be too busy to try to come after Alan, leading Alan the opportunity to get one up on him. Yeah, Door might think that he's powerful in here, but he has no idea who he's fucking with. It's Alan Wake, a guy that could write a story and rewrite certain things in a story. The story itself tells you where you could go and where you can't go, but what path Alan takes, he's the plumber. Alan's the plumber, not Door. So he could make a path for himself just like Zane do. So Alan's a plumber, Zane is a plumber, and maybe Door's a plumber too. So it all depends on who's going to get one up on who first. So in many ways, Alan's a master as well.
These were Alice's photos. I recognized the style. One showed the clicker sinking into darkness. The other showed a light in the shape of a bullet. They were important, even if I didn't know what to do with them yet.
Wake. Alan, wake.
Oh, wait a minute. That guy died with one shot. Like, what the hell? Am I still farming? Yeah, I'm still farming. I'm gonna leave quick turn on because it's so garbage.
The door wouldn't budge. I couldn't get in. I was missing something. To get to Parliament Tower, I needed to find a murder site. Zane would know where to find one.
Inside this messy maze of blood trails I was chasing the cult through, I ran into the filmmaker, Thomas Zane, an esoteric bohemian with a hard-on for acts of cruelty performed in the name of occult nonsense. A director wants to control every aspect of the world in their films. Is the cult leader any different? Was Zane just another alias for Scratch? There was a rumor that Wake and Zane had been working on something together. I was going to get the truth out of Zane with whatever means necessary.
Alan, wake. Wake.
Zane's room, 665, was upstairs. The elevator would take me there. Something told me Zane wouldn't be happy to see me this time.
I'm in control now. The second you try anything, I will shoot you in the head. Scratch wrote return, not me. You're a fucking liar.
You'd given up. You stopped writing. You said it was too dangerous, that we didn't deserve to get out. And then he showed up. Scratch. He promised to write. To get me the hell out of here. He was magnificent. A visionary. I mean, it was art. But then, when he finished, he took return and left me behind.
It's still here, and so is he.
I know I fucked up. But you can still catch him before he gets out. Before he gets to your wife. And when you get to him, don't hesitate. Kill the bastard for what he did to us. There's a murder site in my cinema where my film Nightless Night is playing.
I told you not to try anything!
Oh, mercy. Thousands have gone missing. Beyond.
Oh, if you're a bit confused on what that is, that's them using their powers in the dark place. When he moved Alan to sit next to him, and he told them that's how the magic happened. We weren't seeing things from the past. It was just their powers going at it to write the story. Or they were seeing, he was showing him stuff from the past and how they did it together. And he had a situation when he had them all tied up already in the building, and it says something tells me that Tom wouldn't be happy to see him. Whatever he had in his head that he planned out, he already thought of how he was going to interact with Zane, and it played out the way he thought he was going to interact with Zane based on the Dark Presence. The Dark Presence create the story. You just manipulate the direction of the story. So he thought he was going to beat it out of Zane, and it just played out the way that he wanted. And then Zane was trying to use his power to take over Alan and replace Alan with himself, to enter his body and then transfer himself to Alan, and then Alan to his place by moving the darkness, writing the situation of the story, and them shifting places. So that's all it is. Zane has power to influence over the darkness, to switch places. So Alan knew he was trying to switch places with him. And in the story where Alan is beaten. So it's been going on for quite some time, and I'm starting to get lagged now. But I'm glad it's at least to about an hour. So I'm happy about that. But if Zane comes back to life, it's just that if Zane comes back to life, period, it's simply because he wrote in either his head or before Alan got to his place in his own story that whatever Alan does, he will undo it. So the moment it happens, he is able to come back to life. Or maybe Alan, regretting killing Zane, brought him back to life. So that's how the darkness works. Darkness tells how the story will play out. You could just manipulate how the direction of the story is going to happen. So if the dark presence want Zane to be alive, you know, it would have to be because Alan or Zane wants to be alive. So you can only give them what they want based on what they want or direction they want to go. So if Zane is alive, it's because Alan still wants him alive. Or if Zane is alive, it's because Zane wants to be alive after whatever Alan does.
On the labyrinth of me. When you're lost in your own company. And cut! Oh. Now that is drama.
You see? Because he already recorded it. Zane already recorded. Alan just had to show up to play his part in the recording.
Questions about Zane.
I don't have a million questions. I already know. Zane already wished that whatever Alan does when he enters the story, his section of his story through his film, because Zane tells his story through films. Alan tells his story through writing in the Dark Presence. So when Alan enters his story, he enters it based on what Zane writes, or Zane would direct the story and says, well, this is what Alan's going to do, this is what I'm going to do, and no matter what Alan does to manipulate the story, I'm going to go with it. But if he kills me in my films, I'm going to direct how this goes, and whichever one he chooses, that's how the film is going to turn out. So he made two treatments to this. He made one where he's either in the place of Alan, and the other where Alan kills him. So he was aware that he will die in one of them, so he prepared for that in advance. That's all it is. So Zane is alive because he already planned for how it was going to play out. So
I had to find the movie theater Poet Cinema. The next murder site was there. Zane had created the film in tandem with Return to escape the dark place.
Yeah, so that's all Zane was doing. That's another method for him to get out. Like, if Alan kills him in the story, then the Dark Presence will assume that Zane doesn't matter anymore in the story, and thus Zane gets one step closer towards getting out. Because then the darkness doesn't consider him important and spits him out. Yeah, what am I going that way for? I just need to exit the hotel. So this game can be confusing, very confusing, but it's very self-explanatory if you just follow along what it's saying throughout the entire story. The darkness is like water. The people who have the power to control how the story plays out, they don't have control of how the story plays out. The darkness does, but they have power in what direction the story goes. And by changing which way the water flows. They don't have power over the water, but which way the water flows. So they're like plumbers. Can manipulate and control it to a certain degree, but they don't have full power and control over. Darkness can only react to the direction for which you've taken the water and change it based on that. Hopefully I could find more words of power in Parliament Tower. But if I find no more, then it's fine. It's just sad that once everything turns into Parliament Tower, you no longer have the ability to...
The city was not real. I was limited to the confines of the dream.
Hopefully I could find more words of power. But if that's it, that's it kind of sucks. Got like 20 something more to go. Like 23. Thing, or another cool thing in the game that I found out, I think I should give it a half point for it, is when you put on your flashlight and it's hitting an enemy or a shadow, you can also tap it again to turn it off rather than leave it on. That allows you to save a lot of battery life.
The door was locked. This was the moment to destroy it. Hey, Tim. New map, huh?
Yep. Like, I've never been to New York, but I can tell you that this ain't it.
I heard you humming again.
Yeah, I can't get this song out of my head. It's a real earworm. I hear it in my dreams.
I know that song you keep humming. It's the theme from Night Springs.
That old sci-fi show?
Sci-fi horror anthology. I used to write for a long time ago.
Look, it sounds a bit nuts, but I think the song is connected to Door. Or it's my subconscious telling me that this is all pretty out there.
Yeah, the red-headed woman is connected to door through quantum breaking. Okay, this is this map now. Pretty empty map. There's an entrance, and then there's the entire map location. And there's the car wash, and that's it. It couldn't have meant that. Usually those arrows point towards words of power, not towards stashes. Unless it does point towards stashes as well. I'm missing something. Let me use the restroom real quick. Yeah, man, that's like the longest bathroom break ever. The longest bathroom break ever. Like, alright, so this doesn't lead to a word of power. It led to a stash. Otherwise, it would give me another indication around here. But there's no arrow that's pointing towards the stash. Or is this hidden back here? So, there it is.
Something kept me going. A broken man. No hope, no prospects, no love. Too stubborn to die. Like a cockroach with a misguided sense of honor and justice in a city where there can never be justice.
enjoy the film, sir.
They say God made us in his image. Just like us, he is an uncaring, cruel son of a bitch. Having made it in heaven, he doesn't want us there, dirtying up all that nice white upholstery. And he doesn't want to reach down to help us. He gets his kicks just binge-watching us struggling, hurting, killing, dying, screwing it up again and again. Lazily stirring it up when things threaten to get too placid. This city is only here to satisfy his sick, voyeuristic pleasure.
I'm pretty sure if that was true about God, probably wouldn't have liked that comment at all. And whoever wrote this into the story of Alan Wake probably is going to have a very bad day on that day, or whenever. Now, if that was true, they would have a bad day because they found something out that they're not supposed to. Or if it was true, they wouldn't like it, even if it couldn't do anything about it, because he's God. He would rub them the wrong way, so that person wouldn't have a good day. Doesn't really matter, even if it wasn't true. If he was to have enjoyment out of it, it wouldn't matter to him. Probably wouldn't do a single damn thing because it's God. He's too busy worrying about everything staying in balance. The whole point of giving us freedom is to make us our own personal gods and not to interrupt us doing whatever the hell we want to do. But we're not gods, so because if we were, then we'll be like him. And if the image is the only part of us that is like God, and everything else isn't like God, so I guess if our image of God is the freedom to choose our faith, and the image of God is freedom, which means there are other facets of God as well that make him up, just like there's other facets that make up a human body: bones, lungs, heart, eyes, brain. We're only the flesh part of God, which is the freedom part. The outside silhouette, how you look on the outside. What's on the inside of God is probably a whole lot of stuff you probably don't want to know. Might not be able to wrap our head around that shit. As complex as the human anatomy is. His anatomy, if he ever can call it one, might be something off beyond our comprehension. Times 10. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Freedom of choice. The will to choose. The will not to choose. Well, animals get to choose what meat they're eating and what meat they're not eating. So you can't call that the will of God. That wouldn't make human beings any more special and be in His image. Unless animals are in His image as well, and cats and anything else that could make a choice of not eating something and something else. So He can't be in His image, because then that means everything else. But if we are in His image, and it's not about choosing and the freedom of choice that makes us separate from other animals, it's about something else. The will to maybe live. Animals have will to live. Drive. Purpose. Maybe that's it. Animals don't really have a purpose. They don't make things to have things. They just go with what's around them, and they develop what's around them for their survival. But they don't create things and build things. They just work with what they have. Otherwise, if they could build things, an animal would develop something out of its shit, out of a tree, out of the environment around them, the sand, to create something that was never there before. Something new, something different. Like we created buildings from sand and gravel and stuff. And the building wasn't there before, so it's something that's made from things that were there before. If an animal could create something from things that were there before, and it wouldn't be an animal anymore, would it? But creating something from that's there, that wasn't there, to the level of what a dog would be able to do, or a cat, or a lion, or a beetle. Like, bees can create honey based off the natural resources around it. So that's a natural product they create off of their body, or resources. But it's something they use to do other things, or it's an excess of their body that's not needed anymore. So it's not like they make it to do something with it. It's just there based on whatever it is that they're doing. They produce it, but they're not using it to build anything. But then bees make homes for themselves. It's like human beings make buildings for themselves off of the world around them. So that make bee in the image of God as well. So it has to be something, it has to be purpose, because building a home for yourself isn't actually like a purpose. It's more like a necessity. You get cold, you pull a bunch of blankets over you. You get cold and there's no such thing as blankets. You pull a bunch of gravel around you, or rocks to shelter you, which will block out the wind. A bee gets cold, or a bee needs a place to stay in. It builds a hive for itself. That's not really a purpose. It's more like a necessity. Purpose is not something that's needed. Purpose is like a reason for your existence. Bees don't do things for a reason for their existence. They just do it. Which would make sense, because otherwise God would just be a natural force. But for him to have purpose, then God becomes more than just a natural force. it has something that's meaningful to it. The Force has something that's meaningful to it itself. Then it's no longer a thing in nature. It's his own individual. Yeah, I think purpose is it. If I'm off about the purpose part, then it has to be something else. It can't just be the shell and husk of what we call our corporeal body that's in the image of God. Because that's too easy and too simple.
The cinema lobby was a gateway to other realities on the silver screen. I could set a scene here.
Yeah, it seems like the Cult of the Word are bad guys. They're not the same as the Cult of the Tree. And they're not the same as the Torchbearers. Scratch might have his own cults, whereas the Cult of the Tree are on the good guy side to try to stop things, where in the Star Place, the Cult of the Word is a reverse version of the Cult of the Tree, where they're actually bad guys supporting Scratch. Yeah, makes sense. And the torchbearers in this world might be the same as the torchbearers in our world. They might be trying to stop them in this world. But then, if the Cult of the Tree is the reverse version, and in this world the Cult of the Word is who they are, then the torchbearer's name should have been changed as well. But it's not. Which means the torchbearers is good in both worlds. Non-changeable.
Did I stop writing at some point? I can't stop. There's too much at stake. I was missing something.
I felt like I'd been on this case looking for the cult of the word for a lifetime or more. The only case I'd ever been on. They would surface from the dark with their depraved acts of violence and fade back into the night, leaving behind bloody crime scenes and clues heavy with obscure meanings that led nowhere. Arriving at the cinema, I felt a monumental, terrifying revelation trembling before me, ready to open its jaws and swallow me whole.
This place had significance to the cult. There was something to use there. I needed a new draft. The scene had changed. The first step toward the murder site. I was making progress. Someone had barricaded themselves in the room.
good to talk, buddy.
It was an initiation ceremony. Or so we made our new members believe. 2 of New York's finest. They had performed endless favors to earn their place among us. We had something special waiting for them. And something very special for you, Alex Casey.
Who's your leader? Alan Wake? Scratch? Zane? Give me a name!
You will meet him soon enough.
There was no end to the corruption. It fit the genre, so I'd use it.
See, shit like this, stuff like this it makes you hard to believe that the torchbearers were actually good people. You know, when you look at an image like this, you see a dude that looks like his head is blown off, and like hands are scratching towards him, and everything's in a spiral. So, like people who are constantly in a spiral, dying, trying to reach out of the darkness. So, I don't know. I'm still a little iffy on the torchbearers, whether they're actually good guys or not.
My writing was affecting reality.
urban legends circling Thomas Zane were a bottomless rabbit hole. I'd done some digging. To film freaks, he was a mythic auteur in the art house cinema, a rising star coming to America from Finland. But he only created one film, Tom the Poet, before he went missing, mirroring the vanishing of the main character in the movie, played by himself. The biggest mystery was around his lost film, an early work made in Finland, Nightless Night, rumored to have mystic properties. Some claimed it was a snuff film, that the ritual murder in the film was an actual murder. There were no known surviving copies, but the cult chased it as if it were their unholy grail, just like Wake's books were.
Of course, maybe that's because the people in that film were people who looked like members from the cult. And they were probably shocked to see themselves in that film and realize that it's weird as shit. But I do know one thing though. If Tom only created 2 films, one an early film from when he was younger, and then the other film that he made before he fell into the lake, which is Tom the Poet, then in this dark place, when he was using his projector to see him and talk to him, that was his film. That was the film that he made communicating with someone called Alan Wake. So in all truth, this guy made this film in this place first, and somehow it got developed in reality as a real thing, which means Alan Wake showing up to his place was something that happened in the past, not something that's happening right now with Alan. Alan probably think it's the stuff that's happening in the present, but he doesn't realize that it already happened in the past already. It's just that Alan is catching up to, or should I say, he's catching up from his past to Zane's period in time. That's all I can say about that. Because Zane did it way in advance, before Alan's story played out. And if Zane did his story way in advance before Alan's story, including Alan Wake, then the story of Alan Wake was developed by the path that Alan Wake is taking in this dark place is developed after Zane already created his path, and Alan is just catching up to Zane's story. It's weird though, because